Evergrande's threat to Tether. Let's have a look. Hello everyone, Florian.heise here, and welcome to another episode of HeiseSays. Grab your stein of coffee. We're going to have a look at an article from CoinDesk which is discussing, the relationship between everyone's major concern right now in China, Evergrande, a huge developer that's, at risk of toppling over, and everyone's favorite stablecoin, Tether. I mean, what better combination could you have of trustworthy and reliable organizations, guys? Really. So before we jump through this article, let's jump over here and have a look. I'm just going to adjust this. We will jump over here and have a look at the crypto market. We can see Bitcoin is at 41,734 USD. It's going down. Ethereum is going down. Tether is at, when last time I checked, at 99 cents, or it's meant to be locked at $1. So it's a bit, look at that volume, everyone, the circulating supply. And where's the volume in the last 24 hours? There you go. Compare the volume of Tether to everything else. You can see how important it is to the crypto trading. So, and Cardano is down. Everything's down. Everything is down, just like the rest of the markets. It's almost like crypto is now just a correlated asset. It's not non-correlated. It's just linked to everything else. It follows the stock exchange. There you go. So, Evergrande and China's looming risk to Tether. So this is an opinion piece by David Z. Morris from CoinDesk. Tether says it doesn't hold short-term debt from the struggling developer, but that doesn't mean Tether holders aren't at risk. The stablecoin issuer Tether this week declared that it doesn't hold short-term debt issued by troubled Chinese real estate developer Evergrande. Since Tether doesn't disclose specifics about the commercial paper that substantially back its stablecoin, you'd think they would. They really are they're worse than the Reserve Bank of crypto, aren't they? They really are worse. This is a bit like serving a house guest with a sandwich and loudly assuring them that it's absolutely not made from diseased horse meat. It seems increasingly likely that Evergrande is fated instead for the glue factory, but it could still take Tether with it, depending on what's actually in the stablecoin sandwich. So, though its main product, since its founding in the 1990s, has been housing, Evergrande has grown into a huge conglomerate with products ranging from bottled water to electric cars to a soccer team. Okay, it sounds like there's got a whole lot of other rubbish that they don't need to. It's expanded by borrowing aggressively, including during periods when China's economic outlook was seen in a much rosier terms globally than it is now. Evergrande has failed to execute on the promises backing its roughly $300 billion in debt, particularly in housing. Now, here's the thing. We've got to see how much of that debt is actually in USD or in local currency. My understanding is the majority of it is in the local currency. Among other signs of serious mismanagement, customers have made large deposits on Evergrande apartments that were never built. Buying off the plan. Hundreds of customers have protested in front of the company's offices, alleging mistreatment or fraud. But this is not just about one company. Even if Tether doesn't specifically hold any of Evergrande's short-term debt, it could have huge exposure in the form of other Chinese obligations. The developer's debt is spread across an army of banks and other financial institutions, leading some analysts to worry that its collapse would have systematic impacts comparable to the fall of Lehman Brothers, which kicked off the Great Recession 13 years ago. Debate swirls about whether the impact would spread beyond China, but there's broad agreement that impact within the country would be near catastrophic. Evergrande is just the latest major Chinese firm to have serious problems due to apparent fraud or mismanagement. See, not just capitalist societies, the communists have it too. A wave of smaller stock frauds from 2010 to 2016 were chronicled in the documentary The China Hustle, and Luckin Coffee put an exclamation point on the trend in 2019. Remember that one. The types of heavy-handed control That type of heavy-handed control is the core of China's conundrum as an authoritarian state trying to reap the rewards of capitalism. These frauds even show some signs of being tacitly approved by the Chinese government, to the extent that they have targeted investors abroad. It's been going on for a long time. One analyst who warned about Evergrande's practices as early as 2012 was temporarily banned from Hong Kong markets by regulators for his reckless claims. And my understanding is they're allowed back in Hong Kong soon. Their 10-year ban's nearly up. China's loose and reactive at best financial regulatory environment is one reason anxiety around Tether has largely centered on whether it holds Chinese commercial paper in general, not just whether it holds Evergrande's. Over the past 2 years, yet another headwind has entered the China mix. After a couple of decades of relative freedom for entrepreneurs, including, as mentioned, the apparent freedom to commit securities fraud, Chinese leadership under Xi Jinping has begun to aggressively intervene in markets. This has included harshly curtailing apparently successful fintech firms like Ant Group, and most recently, instituting restrictions on video games, which can't be good for Tencent and other firms. That type of heavy-handed control is the core of China's conundrum as an authoritarian state trying to reap the rewards of capitalism. Markets can't function without transparent information flows. Full stop. And that's pricing. Everyone. That's what pricing is. Do we have that in our markets? Not entirely. There's certain, you see, this is when you think, when people argue for a free market, we don't actually have it. The systematic suppression that characterizes Chinese markets adds an opaque but potentially huge risk for the holders of any Chinese assets, even if that risk is wrapped up in a supposed stablecoin. So there we go. So what do you think, everyone? More fear or concern about the relationship between China, Evergrande, and Tether? Well, we'll have to see, everyone. Let's have a bit of a talk about this. Well, this could be another risk. Tether is, well, it's an interesting case. I mean, do you trust Tether? They're not foreclosing all of the paper that they have. How much of it could be exposed to China? If they topple over, is it going to be an issue? Now, will Evergrande, the collapse of that organization, will it be allowed to happen? And will it have flow-on effects to other parts of the world? I think here in Australia, it most certainly might have an impact on us. If it has an impact in China, it'll have an impact on the Australian economy. It'll have an impact on the Australian dollar as well, which could make us more attractive, our exports more attractive to competitive markets. So it could be a win-win in the long term. But going back to Tether, well, even without this Evergrande stuff, Tether in itself is a huge bloody risk. Do you trust them? So guys, there we have it. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on that one, because, well, I certainly don't trust any of them. But also, you got to remember, a lot of the doom and fear around this could be overblown. We'll have to wait and see. As always, if you're a fan of the channel and enjoy the content I create here, there are a few ways you can support us. You can join us on YouTube or Patreon. Sign up for SelfWealth or Stake. Use our affiliate links at Amazon, eBay, Independent Reserve, or AussieBroadband. You can buy our merch from HeiseSays, use Gold Pass from the Perth Mint, or support us via PayPal. Take care, and I'll see you next time. Bye for now.